This video has been brought to you by Paperlike. Paperlike is a screen protector for your brand new iPad Pro that feels and sounds like you're writing on paper, and it drastically reduces glare and fingerprints. So if you guys are interested in Paperlike, of course, links are down below. If you love Apple, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I mean, just look at it. Isn't this thing beautiful? It's so beautiful.
Tell me, baby, what have I done?
What is going on, guys? Apple World here. So I've been using my brand new 12-inch iPad Pro and my Apple Pencil 2 for over 24 hours, and I have a lot to tell you guys. Starting off with the design, I mean, I am just blown away by this beautiful edge-to-edge display. I really like the way it looks. For those of you, by the way, for those of you who are actually saying, hey, no, it's not edge-to-edge, it's not edge-to-edge, there's actually edges. Yeah, I know there's an edge in every single side of the iPad, but it's actually for a reason. Don't forget that we actually have to hold this device. So if we actually make it edge to edge, this is a tablet. I mean, we can have edge to edge phones because we can actually grab it with one hand, but this we'd be tapping on buttons and on apps, and we'd be opening a bunch of stuff that we wouldn't actually want to open. So for those of you who are criticizing the iPad Pro just because it's not edge to edge display, it's for a reason. The refresh rate on this iPad Pro is absolutely amazing. It is just buttery smooth. Scrolling through websites, playing games, everything is just buttery smooth. It was good on the 2017 iPad Pro, and then of course it's still being amazing on this beautiful, awesome iPad Pro. Let's talk about the speed, because when Tim Cook actually went on that stage and said this iPad is faster than your 2017 iPad Pro, I'm like, there's no way. I mean, the 2017 iPad Pro, I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, everything was just pure and so fast. And now with this thing, it's even faster than that. I know, it's hard to believe, because if you own the 2017 iPad Pro, you know how fast that is. So now, having a faster processor on the iPad Pro, the A12X Bionic chip, I thought I wouldn't actually notice the difference between speed, but you actually do. Opening apps, everything. I mean, everything loads so fast. I actually exported a video that I actually edited on my iPad Pro. I'll talk about that in just a second. I just edited a video on my iPad Pro. Big deal. That's a big deal. I'll talk about it in just a second, as I said. But yeah, I can definitely notice the difference on speed with this iPad Pro, which is absolutely huge. This should have been here from the very beginning. I mean, the first generation Apple Pencil, I lost it so many times because I simply didn't have a spot on the iPad Pro's life. Now they're attached and they're loved and they're... Anyways, now for real though, the Apple Pencil, now that it's actually attached and being charged all the time, because yes, whenever you actually do like this, it's actually charging. So the thing that I like about that, apart from usability, is that it's always ready. Meaning that it's always charged and ready to go. On my first generation Apple Pencil, I always had to connect it because it was always out of battery. Now, it's always on battery. I mean, it's impossible not to have battery, because whenever you're done, you simply slap it on and you're always ready to go. That's one thing that I really like about this Apple Pencil. For example, and when I'm in school, for example, and I have to take notes of something quick, in my first generation, if I didn't have my Apple Pencil in reach, I'm like, it's fine, I'll just do it, writing it, or I'll just do it with my finger. Now, since it's always going to be with me, I'm going to use my Apple Pencil so much, and I'm honestly so excited to actually take this to school. So the size, why did I purchase the 12-inch version instead of the 12.9-inch version? As you guys know, I previously had my 10.5-inch iPad Pro, and then I actually switched to the 12.9-inch version because I wanted a much bigger iPad, because since it actually replaced my MacBook, I simply wanted a bigger display. And then I realized that bigger doesn't always mean better, because, I mean, having the bigger iPad, having the 12.9-inch version is better. It's got better battery life, it's got everything. I mean, it's got a bigger battery, bigger display, so that sounds good. But it's not as comfortable as this version. I mean, I was absolutely in love with my 10.5-inch, and then now, since it's actually a much bigger display, I'm really liking it. But anyways, I actually went to the Apple Store today and actually shot some shots for you, just to let you guys see the comparison between the 12.9-inch version and then the 12-inch version. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below, by the way, which one would you choose? If you had to choose a size, which one would you choose? So anyways, enjoy the Apple Store. I'll come right back. Alright, so we are here at the Apple Store. Let's go ahead and check out the iPad Pro 12.9 inch compared to my iPad Pro 12 inch. Let's check it out. Alright, so here we've got the 12.9 inch and the 12 inch version. As you guys can see, 12.9 inch is of course huge. The bezels have been shrinking down. So if you're in the look for a big iPad, that's probably the way to go. I personally thought I would like the big iPad. I got the 12.9 inch back last year and I didn't really like it. But yeah, it's great. It's better, it's got better battery, it's got everything is better, you've got more screen, but it's much more comfortable to go with the smaller iPad Pro. But of course, it's a matter of preference. Okay, back to the video. And we're back at the office. So yeah, I'm really happy with my size that I actually ordered. I was actually debating which one I should get again because the 12.9 inch version, the bezels have actually shrunk. So it's actually a smaller device with a bigger display as well. It's kind of like a sheet of paper, but I'm really happy with this one. This one's really comfortable. I can take it anywhere. The 12.9 inch, it was kind of a hassle. It was also really heavy. I know the 2018 version is actually much lighter. I tested it out. It's light, but it's definitely not as light as this one. So I feel like I'm going to take this everywhere now. With the 12.9 inch, I don't feel like I take it everywhere. So this iPad Pro still has great speakers. It's got USB-C, which we're going to get into USB-C in just a second. But there's one thing about this iPad that I don't really like. It's one thing that I don't really care, but it's one thing that I'm just kind of annoyed at, and it's that this iPad Pro does not have a headphone jack. Now, don't get me wrong. I hate the headphone jack, and I hate the headphone jack on non-pro devices. So like on the iPhone, I don't really care if Apple actually removed it, because musicians, for example, they don't really work on their phones, and if they have to one day, they have a dongle. But on the iPad, there's a lot of musicians who actually use their iPads as their main device or as their secondary device. So Apple removing the headphone jack, it's like, come on, Apple. Like, this is the iPad Pro. Pro users actually use this, such as musicians especially. And musicians need a headphone jack. So yeah, let's talk about what we all love. USB-C. I mean, USB-C is the future. Cameras are going to use all USB-C. I mean, there's a bunch of cameras in 2018 that are already using USB-C. USB-C everything. I mean, I've got this USB-C adapter that's got SD cards, for example. I just simply do like that, and I can actually add an SD card. So I'm really liking USB-C. From last year, I actually told in a bunch of videos, please Apple, please add USB-C on the iPad. And I guess they listened to me. I mean, they probably didn't only listen to me because everybody was saying it. So I'm really glad that it's here. It's working fine. I actually imported a couple photos that I actually took from my SD card to my iPad, and it worked perfectly. So I'm really happy that Apple actually ditched the lightning port. And hopefully Apple will actually remove the lightning port from the iPhones and actually add USB-C, because it's honestly amazing. Alright, so far so good, right? I mean, this iPad Pro is perfect. No, not at all. This iPad Pro is by no means perfect. I really thought Apple this year, in this year's iPad Pro, Apple is going to do something huge. And they did it. They did something huge with the design. I mean, the edge-to-edge display is, to be honest, the next step. But I thought Apple was going to do even more than that. And basically, I feel like Apple needs to remove iOS. I feel like Apple has to change from iOS and create its own OS for the iPad. Call it Tablet OS, for example, the Pad OS, the iPad OS, whatever it is. But Apple really has to move on from iOS. iOS has been working perfectly on the iPad, but now we don't only get an iPad, we get an iPad Pro with so much power. It's so fast. We can do so many things with our iPad, but the only thing that's stopping the iPad to becoming a MacBook, for example, is iOS, which is really frustrating. I mean, this is another thing that I'm going to complain about the iPad, is why is there no Final Cut Pro yet? I mean, if Apple really wants for us to get rid of our MacBook, for example, Apple, add Final Cut Pro. I mean, everybody's asking for it. What's stopping you? I mean, it's kind of frustrating, to be honest, because we get this iPad Pro, which can cost up to $2,000. And we don't have Final Cut Pro, and we don't have a proper file management, which that's my next point. We need a good file management system in order for us, for example, let's say if we grab a USB-C flash drive or a USB-C SD card, and we want to have footage from our SD card to our iPad. There isn't really a proper way to actually import video to our iPad. it would open the Photos app, which is fine, but it's not good enough. I mean, this is my dream, okay? I want to have Final Cut Pro on the iPad Pro, and then if I want to actually import footage, I could simply import it directly to Final Cut Pro. How awesome would that be? That would seriously replace my MacBook completely. And it kind of replaced my iMac in a lot of times. So Apple seriously needs to add so much to the iPad for it to be perfect. Because right now, this thing is perfect. But this thing is not perfect. So the hardware is perfect. I mean, what else can Apple add to this tablet? I mean, Apple doesn't even have competitors anymore in the tablet industry. I mean, the iPad is perfect, but iOS is not perfect. So Apple seriously has to work so much. So hopefully in iOS 13, Apple will revamp the iPad. I'm hoping for that. So anyways, guys, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for my first impressions, my first 24 hours with the iPad Pro. Once again, it's perfect, but this is not perfect. So they're almost there. Like, Apple is this close to make it perfect. They're so incredibly close. So anyways, that's pretty much it. If you guys want to help support the channel, of course, and buy some awesome t-shirts, make sure to check out appleworldclothing.com. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I will see you in the next one. Peace. And guys, I'm probably going to upload the review on Monday, so get excited for that. Also, let me know in the comments down below what videos do you guys want to see on the iPad Pro. I'm going to make an Apple Pencil 2 review, probably, and an Apple Pencil 2 versus the first generation Apple Pencil. I'm going to do a lot of videos about the Apple Pencil because I didn't actually mention this, but the Apple Pencil 2, it looks cool. It's matte. Like, a lot of things has changed, but it's also gotten more expensive, and I don't really justify the price of it because it basically does the same things as the first generation, except we can now double tap, which is pretty cool. But anyways, that in a future video. See you then. Okay,
I've been
bye.
having dreams, jumping on a trampoline, flipping in the air. I never land, just float there. As I'm looking up, suddenly the sky erupts.